Welcome to the Christian Author Show. From fiction to enlightenment, we offer you all forms of faith-inspired books. So sit back and relax. Here's your host, Danielle Hampson.
Are your physical and emotional needs so overwhelming that you constantly wonder how life is supposed to be lived? Welcome to the Christian Author Show. I'm Danielle Hampson. If you are asking yourself that question, and who hasn't at some point in time, well then stick around, as my guest, Reverend Dr. Linda DeKoff, may have the answer for you in her book, Bridge of the Gods, a handbook for ascending humanity, the golden pathway to your highest God self. Welcome to the show, Dr. Linda.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you for having me on.
A foremost New Thought leader, speaker, teacher, and author, Dr. Linda combines the best of the East and the West in her powerful teaching of truth. The Reverend is also the noted founder of New Thought Institute of New York and New Thought International, Inc., an association of global centers for world peace and enlightenment. She has been honored at the United Nations and has spoken on universal spirituality and advanced consciousness themes all over the world. She has also been a leading Broadway film and television actress, receiving rave reviews. Dr. Linda made one of her most significant premiere appearances at Carnegie Hall, introducing her most powerful and riveting subject, immortality, now and forever. Dr. Linda, in just a few sentences, how would you summarize your book?
This book really describes the journey, the human soul toward the divine. And what it does is it practically gives people tools that allow them, number one, to raise consciousness about themselves, about their experiences, and number two, that they have a power, that they're empowered to live in the highest state of consciousness, awareness, all the time, regarding even the most mundane affairs.
Bridge of the Gods is the title of your book. I think for a lot of us, you're going to need to explain to us a little bit what that means.
Yes. Well, I haven't become a pluralist. What I mean by that is that it's the inner bridge that's established once one begins to heal emotions, body, mind, consciousness. There is an inner bridge that's established. So it's really the bridge to your highest God self.
Now, what was your inspiration for writing this book, Dr. Linda?
Well, I've been in teaching religious science, science of mind, advanced consciousness for quite a long time, and I was compelled by my students and people who would hear me at conferences to please write a book. So that was my original urging to do it, and then it really compounded in me, and I felt very, very compelled that when we entered into this new millennium, I really felt that people needed a vision of the possible future for mankind, both the individual and collectively. And it just came over me that I need to put this out now, what I have discovered about divine patterns in the universe, the limitless possibilities for every human being, regardless of their past history. And it was one of those things, I get that once in a while, where you're just compelled and you feel that it's right and you do it.
Yeah. How long did it take you to write it?
Well, the writing of it itself, I first approached it a number of years ago, and then I felt that there were things that I wanted to add. So I'd say that this time around, before it got published to the full public as it is now, it took me about 7 months reworking it, but it took me a year the first time around. Of course, the book is a compilation of all 30 years of delving into metaphysics, and so all that work built up and solidified in this really easy to read, easy to use book, but it comes from a long, long period of investigation into the great philosophies of the East and West. And what I put together are things that occurred to me along the line that I feel are very tangible and can assist people to get where they want to go.
So in your book you discuss spiritual nature and metaphysics. What do you mean by those terms, and how does the mind govern our experience?
The spiritual nature is the unseen side of life. No one ever saw an idea. you see when the idea of pictures, like no one ever saw the Brooklyn Bridge before it was built. It was seen on the unseen, conceived of on the unseen side of life. So spiritual doesn't mean psychic. It doesn't mean any of those things. It means that area of life of consciousness where things are caused from. In other words, mind is caused to our worlds. And it deals with the infinite nature. The metaphysical part of that is the science of thought, that thought creates our world. It also deals with the divine, the essence of life itself, what life is, the essence of the spiritual essence within all that really is the causal essence behind everything that happens in our lives. And metaphysics deals with this, and why is it important to understand these laws and principles on the unseen side of life? Because every time we think, speak, act, do, we are putting something into life that is going to have a profound, into this unseen substance that will have a profound impact on what manifests in our lives. So the understanding of these divine laws and principles that rule the universe, that cause manifestation, is very important so that the individual can step into authority in their life and really manifest what they want.
So is everyone spiritual?
Absolutely everyone. People think because of the impact of the whatever collective beliefs, unless you've been very fortunate to have been raised by a guru or a people of very high consciousness, most people think that they are their body, that that's the sum total of what they are, that, you know, life has its beginning and end. And unless you understand these deeper things about your nature, that you are infinite, spiritual, eternal, having an experience now, you can never move out of the sort of karmic cycle of beginnings and endings, and you don't have those infinite horizons before you to which all can aspire.
You mentioned several times the word divine, and that word alone can have multiple different, I should say, interpretation to different people. What do you mean by divine and divine nature?
What I mean by divine is that pure, holy, sacred essence within each being, which is really the flame of God in each one's heart. It's the divine is in everyone. It's encoded internally. Yet to bring this divine nature, which expresses itself in the highest and best way conceivable, and we see this in our great masters like Jesus, the Buddha, in all of these personages, these divine personages, they're manifesting these infinite qualities, these divine qualities, which exist within all. But they have to be nurtured, to be brought out, so that the soul can evolve, develop, and the life will manifest the development of this divine nature. So that means that, you know, what people fall into emotional habit patterns, physical habit patterns, limitations, but that's just something like a pothole you step into. It's not the eternal truth of you. It does not quantify you. These issues do not limit you, and they do not box you in. So one wants to step out of these boxes that we've created through environments and through traditions, and to come to the purity of the essence, which is that divine, limitless nature, and to do all we can.
You're talking about boxes. I want to get on that for a second.
Yeah.
Are those boxes driven by emotions such as guilt and fear and remorse and regret?
Yes, they would be, because if you're ever in a box, it's like Sartre's no exit. There's no way out. You keep going around and around the same perimeter.
So
right?
How do you let go? How do you get out of the boxes?
Well, when you speak about these very, very devastating feelings, which can literally cripple a life, like guilt, fear, remorse, anger, all of this, feelings are rooted in one of two areas. One, you maybe have accepted a false belief, and so you may be really, you might need to clear that up, or feeling guilty for something that you did that was good, let's say. And people can have these great distortions because of the belief system they were raised in, which must be transcended to get out of the box. And the other reason would be that actually we have divine conscience, and we know when we've gone off base like a violin out of tune. We know when we're, enraged and furious and taking our stuff out on others, that's not really the best way to go. It doesn't prosper us. It doesn't prosper anyone. And they're all out partying while people are, we're stuck in those moments, those terrible feelings. So in that case, if it is that we have truly stepped off track and done something or said something or whatever that we know that is not right, all it takes to totally be relieved of this karmically forever is simply to change your action. Change your action. And that way, when you do that with full understanding, you are changing literally the trajectory of your soul and the events around you. So once you have changed or made the change to come into greater love, for example, love is always the healing element, always the aligning element. When you have done that, everything arights around you, and you should release yourself at that moment and know the universe has released you. Some persons on the outer may not, but the person must know that I am in right action now. I have made the God choice, the divine choice. I am free. And you build then the new pattern of response, consistently, consciously, and it becomes a part of you. You're so changed that you cannot even think of returning to the way it was in the past.
Now, does your book provide the tools to be able to accomplish all these things? Because surely it's easier said than done for most of us.
Yes, it does. And this is, the tools are there, which, I'm very much for practical mysticism, unless an idea may sound great, but unless we have the actual practical tools, consciousness tools, transformational tools to change our idea about something, change our reaction to something, change our expectation about something to tune up to the highest level of good, God, love, bounty, and all the many names of God. We're not making any movement. We have the tools. So what I have done is I have condensed East and West with the special things that have occurred to me, ways to, particularly a set of questions that are very easy that I'll intersperse through the stories and through the book is very dynamic, so there are self-questions interspersed so you can have a transformation on the spot. You can learn the good that has happened to other people, the tremendous success through doing these little adjustments. They're just like a chiropractic adjustment.
Right.
And when you do it, everything changes.
Yeah. Now,
so they're in there.
Now, Dr. Linda, do people have to be of a particular religion to benefit from your book?
No, not at all. Because spiritual religions are like the different fingers pointing to the one moon. And any path that's leading you to awareness of your greater self, your God self, to greater joy, happiness, and strength is a true path. And so you don't have to be of any religion. You need only to want to demonstrate these higher divine qualities. They're universal. There are universal patterns underlying all of existence. And all of the universe is about the promotion of love and life and light. And so when there is no negative in the universe of itself, so when the human being aligns with the divine nature, with the infinite nature, their life then blessedly begins to demonstrate that wonder, that grace, the path of grace. So you don't have to be of a religion. You don't have to believe in a God. You can call it whatever, higher self, the highest and best aspects of your very own self. What else could God more be within the human?
Yeah. Now, Dr. Linda, other than, of course, selling your book, what do you hope to accomplish with it?
Well, I really wrote this to empower and help people. What I really want is for people to be pleasantly woken up, awesomely woken up, and for their lives to really directly be empowered by the information they get in this book, and the meditations are extremely soaring and help you to set consciousness to experience what the particular aspects of the book would be talking about. It's very experiential. And for me, the very best is that people get their good, that long-time suffering, things they've suffered over for a very long time are suddenly dissolved because they've made the shift in consciousness, and that they're able to demonstrate their greatest aspirations in the most spiritual manner and in the most harmonious manner. So that's what I hope for people.
Your book has been published a few months ago. How are readers responding so far to it?
Well, those who have come across it, the book is getting 5-star reviews. People are just loving it. They're getting new awareness of themselves, and of course that brings great joy into life, and they like the practicality of it, and they like the mystical nature. And when I say mystical, I mean that hopefully you will feel as you're reading the presence of divine love, the presence of God, that presence surrounding you as you're reading. And people are getting that, so I'm just so happy about that.
Well, that's wonderful. So in what format is your book available, and where can people buy it?
And my book is available in softcover, hardcover, and ebook, Nookbook, with Barnes & Noble, or Kindle form. So it's available in every form, and people can get it from Amazon.com, BalboaPress.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or local Barnes & Noble bookstore, any local bookstore.
And what about your own website?
Oh, yes. My website, the best, if people want to go and learn a little bit more about the 12 chapters, brief summaries of them, and what they can expect through reading, and I highly recommend going here, is http://rev, R-E-V, short for Reverend, Dr. Linda Decoff, D-E-C-O-F-F, authors, A-U-T-H-O-R-S, Express, P-R-E-S-S, and you'll find a host of information and links right there to find everything you need to read reviews, to read a little more about the book itself, and to purchase.
And I believe that you have a second website, New Thought International. Do you have a website for that
yes,
as well?
NewThoughtInternational.com has been existing for a long time, and that's where I publish global divine consciousness programs. That's spiritual lessons on different matters, from prosperity to divine romance, to anything people may have interest in. There's live talks people can hear from various conferences and so on that I've given.
What is that website again, please?
That is http://New Thought, like thinking, newthoughtinternational.com.
Dr. Linda, thank you so much for being my guest on the show today. All of us carry undesirable weight accumulated over a lifetime, so I know that your book will indeed help a lot of people who need to free themselves from certain emotions that keep them from moving forward. So again, thank you for sharing a little about your book with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. If you wish to rejoice as even the most chronic and difficult obstacles simply melt away in the awesome grace of the greater divine you, read Dr. Decoff's book. And if you wish to be joyously and permanently transformed even as you read this book, delighting in the very easy yet profound techniques and soaring meditations, then buy the book and read it. That is Reverend Dr. Linda Decoff's recommendation, and the title of her book one more time is Bridge of the Gods, a handbook for ascending humanity, the golden pathway to your highest God self. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with today's show, and to find out more Christian and other authors and their books, I invite you to visit theauthorsbookclub.com. Check that website, as many of our show guests and their books are featured right there. And if you are an author yourself, well, this is a good place for you to list your own book and to show it to the world. That website again is theauthorsbookclub.com. Thank you for listening, and please join me next time with another great Christian author and book on the Christian Author Show. I'm Danielle Hampson, and may God continue to keep you safe and hear your prayers.
thank you for listening, and tune in next time for another great book on The Christian Authors Show. To find out more about the show, visit thechristianauthorsshow.com.